And welcome to the latest edition of the 941 Sports Zone. It's our 1 year anniversary, episode number 52.
Woohoo!
We made it.
We made
Spitz
it a
and
year.
John let the games begin. Masoni. We've done something a little different, John, as we enter into year two. We're gonna kind of split our podcast. We've already recorded the high school podcast, episode number 1. We had Emma Moon from the Herald Tribune on with us, and I'm telling you, we were trying to keep it to 30 minutes. That's really funny. We made it about 50 minutes, and I'll tell you what, it's great stuff. Emma brought it. We're definitely going to have her on later on in the year, and we got a lot of information out there, so look for it. 941 Sports Zone high school podcast, and we're going to do the 2 podcasts every week. We'll do the high school podcast, and then we'll do the general sports podcast.
It sort of merits it because with the high school football as popular as it is in the entire country, not only in Florida, and a 941 Sports Zone area as well. There's enough to be said that it does need a little bit of a difference. It's got to have its own little spot, and we saw right away what we thought was 30 minutes turns into 45. Emma knows a lot more than we do about some of the teams and players, and that was great to hear from her. But in some ways too, today, Rich, week 0 is almost a preseason kind of, now you know what to expect from the teams. Now you see the talent that Port Charlotte has. You see the defense that Parrish has, or whatever it may be. You see the different stuff. And the one thing we did that stands out, and you can watch it when you can, is the quarterbacks here in the 941 area code. We've got some Division I players, more than a few, to say the least, and guys that are on the rise as well. So watch that for that, if for anything.
Absolutely, and we certainly enjoyed doing it with Emma. The 941 Sports Zone brought to you by the good folks at Carroll GMC. Sales, selection, experience what car buying should be, who can make you drive with a smile. Monty Jacobs and Carroll Can on the beautiful island of Venice. All right, let's kick it up to the pro level to start here. NFL preseason games got underway in earnest over the weekend. The 3 local teams were in action, the 3 state teams, I should say.
Sure.
Bucks and Jets from the Meadowlands. Geno Smith was supposed to play, but he got injured in the joint practices, and the Jets decided to hold him out. I thought Kate Klubnik played pretty well for the Jets, to be truthfully honest with you. Did okay. The Bucks were able to rally from a 10-0 deficit to win the game 24-16. Couple of things came out after the game. Actually, on Monday, both teams had press conferences after practice, and both teams told us about some injuries that neither one of us wanted to hear. First up was Aaron Glenn of the Jets, who says Breece Hall strained his right groin in practice on Monday, and he's considered day-to-day, doesn't really consider it a concern. But whenever you strain a groin, how is that not a concern as a guy? I mean, hello?
No, it's a concern. Now, I'll say this to you. It'll probably keep him out for the rest of the preseason games.
We already said that, yes. Mm-hmm.
But if you watch his backup, the kid from Wisconsin, Allen,
yeah,
he was good before he got hurt last year, and he looks like he's back in. He's about a 245-pound load that can run. So there's a little bit of that makes it not the worst news you want to hear. But Rich, we heard, you probably saw, you watched the games this weekend. There was injuries everywhere.
Yes.
Little tweaks here, some catastrophic. Jamal Adams done. That might be a career ender for him as far as safety is concerned.
Torn triceps. Yep.
Yeah, and again, a few other guys with slight injuries and high ankle sprains and this and that. So there's a lot of that going on out there. So yeah, you've got a few weeks, because not only can you give them 2 weeks off during the preseason, it's another week or so before the season starts. So you've got, right. and that's built in from the idea that they're going to get dinged up in the preseason.
The Bucs came out today and said that Emeka Egbuka has a toe injury that Todd Bowles called day-to-day, week-to-week, which means if that's the case, his availability for week 1 at Cincinnati has to be in question. And then also Jalen McMillan is dealing with a knee injury, and he also called that day-to-day, week-to-week. And apparently both of those happened in the Jets controlled scrimmages from last week.
And the toe bothers me more than anything else because turf toe, you never know when you're going to come back from that. That just lingers and lingers and lingers.
Ask Dion.
Yeah. I've talked to guys that are pro athletes and they're like, turf toe is terrible. You just sometimes you never get over it in a year. You just it lingers and stays and stays and stays. So yeah, that's one you don't want to hear is a toe injury like that. Rich, I don't know what it is about the Buccaneers this year, but I watched them play. I see they didn't sign Baker. Vita Vea is standing around, taking up space, which is he does on the football field also. There seems to be a little less of a charge in this team. That these injuries are sort of like, doesn't seem that it's almost feels like you got that Debbie Downer music in the background. Oh, not another wah, 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 that kind of thing. And just, I don't know. Every time I look at them in their practices and everything else, it doesn't seem like there's that charge behind them. So we'll see what happens in the season. Just could be the dog days of summer. Obviously it's 1,000 degrees here in Florida. So it's going to be tough to be out there and be enthusiastic after practice, but I got a feeling about it. I want to see a little more. I think this game coming up this weekend with Kansas City will be more of a reflection, maybe where they are or they aren't, because Kansas City is they're trying to get better, get Patrick Mahomes back on his feet. And they've made a few changes. They got Kenneth Walker in. So I was curious to see how this game plays out. Score, don't even worry about score. Just watch the game. Try to look at how the play is being played, the nuances, the penalties, that kind of stuff, and see how they look. I don't know. I'm just not quite feeling good about the Buccaneers.
Yeah, it's almost like a little bit of a dark cloud. Almost a little bit.
That's what
like
it is. Totally a dark cloud.
Yeah. And after several years making the playoffs, they were one of the 3 teams that had made the playoffs 5 straight years until last year when they were knocked out in the last game of the season by Carolina winning their game. And it just, you're right. There just doesn't seem to be that buzz, if you will, out of at Ventura Health Park.
The fan base, okay, I'll say this too. Maybe I'm trying to thinking about this as you're talking, but the fan base seems to be dwelling on the negative.
Yeah.
Baker's not signed. Vea's not doing this. Mike Evans left us. My goodness, if I hear one more Buccaneer fan get ready to break out into tears over Mike Evans, I get it. Yeah. But so where we went, the Bucs went out and got a bunch of guys in the draft and went with Ibuka last year. There's got to be the next Mike Evans, right?
Right.
It's not what's his name? I'm drawing
Ibuka.
a blank now. No, the slot receiver,
Chris Godwin Jr.
Godwin. It's not Godwin. So who's going to be that guy? Who's going to be your downfield guy stretching the defense out? And again, the other side of it, I'm not hearing anything about Kenneth Gainwell, and he's one of the better pickups in the offseason. Where's the positivity of that? I'm not hearing it. I'm just not hearing it. So I think that's a bit of a problem right now. That sort of the fan base is sort of dwelling on the negative.
And it's interesting. A lot of these teams had joint practices. As a matter of fact, all 3 teams had joint practices before the actual games. I know the Jaguars ended up winning the preseason game 24-20, but word out of New Orleans was, particularly day 2, they got their asses kicked in the joint practice. New Orleans looks really good. Their quarterback, who kind of had a little better year than everybody thought last year, Tyler Shuck. A lot of people are expecting a lot from them. A lot of people are picking the Saints to win the division, which I think is maybe going a little too far. But then you start looking at the division. Well, do you really think Carolina is going to repeat? You got the little bit of a dark cloud over the Bucs, and the Falcons to me, as much talent as they have, I think they're the fourth best team in the division right now.
Yeah.
So does New Orleans win by default? Does it take 8 or 9 wins again?
Well, I don't see when I look at it though, Rich. The division itself. I don't think there's been that much separation anyway.
Right.
If New Orleans was the worst team, then they weren't. But they were only a few games behind. One or two. What 8 and 9 won the division last year in a tie and a three-way tie.
Three teams went 8 and 9. I believe New Orleans went 6 and 11.
So how much improvement did New Orleans have to really get to that point? New coach last year, new quarterback. They bring back. They got a good running game.
They got ETN from the Jaguars,
right?
And Alvin Kamara is now basically a third down back,
right? And that's one of the things that because I don't know if you're a fantasy football guy. I think we've talked about it before. But some of the things they're saying about that is that, hey, don't take Kamara this year because he's not going to get the carries. He might get the catches, but he's more of a mid-round pick than he is or whatever. And you start hearing that stuff because you're seeing they got talent. They got other guys that are going to not take up some of the load there. So yeah, New Orleans doesn't surprise me that they would be favored. Now, do they win it? No. Could any one of them win it and you'd be overly surprised? No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, I would be surprised if the Falcons won it, to be truthfully honest with you. And they really struggled. Tua struggled right out of the gate. Penix is still coming back from the knee injury. They've had a couple of catastrophic season-ending injuries, so it certainly hasn't been a good camp for the Falcons. Dolphins, about what you expected. They're going to really struggle. Their over-under's 4.5. And the under looks pretty good. We'll talk about over-unders probably next week on this very pod or the week after at least. But they lose to the Commanders 20-7. Malik Willis plays a couple of series, goes 4-5. The expectation level is so low in Miami. It's gonna be a rough year for the Dolphins. And really, the division comes down to between Buffalo and New England, who can sweep the Jets and the Dolphins.
Right.
If the team that sweeps them probably wins the division.
And the Dolphins, a lot of that negativity is coming straight from the team itself. Mm-hmm. It's like, they've resigned themselves to being, again, you don't tank in the NFL, but as close to it as possible. I think they are sort of tanking it, and that Blake Willis there as a sort of the
placeholder.
Or even just a just in case guy, open and break glass just in case kind of guy, because I think they're going to be in a sweepstakes for whatever that first round draft pick is,
and whoever it is. So, not many starters played, but those that played, like I said, a lot of them got banged up. The Bills, they wanted to make a splash in their new stadium. The new stadium got a lot of criticism last week. So they played Josh Allen and they played a bunch of their starters. He hit Keon Coleman in the end zone. So apparently it's kumbaya because Coleman last year was basically odd man out. He was actually gone and they brought him back. Buffalo wanted to make a little bit of a statement. Minnesota lost Jamal Adams. We just talked about it. Right. It was thought to be a knee. Word just came out as we record this on Monday afternoon. It's actually a torn right quad.
When he went down, you saw he went down face forward. So that's usually the quad or the hammy or whatever. So you got that. And that's so hard to come back from. Really hard to come back from. That lingers. It's right there. Hey, let's talk about guys with lingering injuries. Mike Evans, what was it, once a year, getting a hamstring pull or whatever it was. So.
And he's missed a lot of practice time there. Everybody's bemoaning Evans, and he's missed a lot of practice time with the 49ers.
Right. I agree. You know what? 49ers are kind of a chic pick because everybody wants to leapfrog the Seahawks and show the Rams aren't as good. I am not a 49ers guy here. They've got some very, very delicate pieces to the puzzle with Christian McCaffrey and Mike Evans being those two guys. George Kittle has been hurt quite often as well. So, and do I think that Brock Purdy is put the team on my shoulders and carry them through the tough times? I don't think so. That.
I know he's being paid like it, but no, I don't think so. I agree with you.
But I think defensively is where they're going to try to hang their hat a little bit. We'll see. We'll see. And Rich, you did mention something earlier about Buffalo. Is that the argument regarding the not being domed? Or what was the problem with the field that you were hearing?
Oh, there's a lot of obstructed view seats apparently.
Yeah, you know what?
Which in a stadium in 2026, really? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think they only are going to sell them when it's standing room only in a playoff game. I don't know for sure, but nonetheless, you don't want that. But I think from the perspective of what they did with that stadium, it's brilliant. First of all, the stadium is now a stadium, not like something you saw from the walking up in the 1960s or whatever.
Right.
It's a totally different deal. But they put real grass down. What do you know?
Mhm.
That's good. That's what you want. You think, they with this day's technology, they should be able to keep grass growing in the wintertime if they have to. But outdoor facility, the Bills that's such an advantage for the Bills. Like they said, I heard some the other day, there's no way they're going to build a stadium and expect a Super Bowl. It's not going to happen.
Right.
They don't have the city of Buffalo couldn't handle it.
Correct. They don't have the hotel rooms or anything. Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
So why not keep the advantage you have, the uniqueness to it? I bet you this. The Minnesota Vikings in the 70s, Fran Tarkenton, the Purple P leaders, 4 years in a row went to the Super Bowl or something, or maybe had 1 year.
4 times. It was not in a row, but yeah.
Yeah, 4 times. But go to old Metropolitan Stadium, that was no good.
Yeah.
What an advantage. And now, mind you, you could say that about the whole division back then. You had the Packers that still had the advantage that they
Right.
had. The
Bears.
The Bears outside of Soldier Field, and then the Lions were outside until they built the Pontiac Silverdome.
Yep.
So, but I think that there's a huge advantage because New England has the same advantage in some ways, by being outdoors. So I think there's that outdoor seating, football game, grass field. Bring it on. I'll watch that.
Yeah, no question about it. And the players want more grass fields. This is going to be an interesting when their next CBA comes up.
Well, the soccer fields pointed out how easily it could be done. They
correct.
Brought the grass in. You don't have to have the grass all the time. Bring it in like a puzzle piece. Make sure it looks all nice and good together, and do that. And then when you're done, take it out of there, and then you can go have your 19,000 concerts you want to have, or truck bowls, or whatever you're doing. You know what I mean? Go do what you want to do from there. But why with billions and billions and billions of dollars coming through and it's never ending money, you couldn't put that one safety feature that the players are screaming for. That to me, when you're in a bargaining situation, looking across the note and saying, really, all these injuries, especially in the Meadowlands, there's always injuries and that's a brand new field, but there's always problems with that field. You couldn't put grass down, but you could put it down for 15 guys from Spain. What the hell? What's going on with that?
Yeah. Another big injury. Cardinals weren't supposed to have much of a year, but if Jeremiah Love's high ankle sprain,
that's the one.
Is any kind of lingering, they're another team. Them and the Dolphins to me are the two teams that are going to be fighting it out to be who's on the clock.
Yeah, I agree. But again, they're for as bad as Miami is, I think the Cardinals have some pieces, not a lot, but they have some pieces. If Marvin Harrison Jr. ever figures it out, I mean, the guy was supposed to be a lock, all pro, and he's been mediocre,
injured a lot.
But again, mediocre from he's not on the field in a lot of ways, and Love is going to be the way he looks like he could be spectacular. But if he's injured, then there's nothing good about that.
One other note that came down again Monday as we record: veteran pass rusher Von Miller signed a 1-year deal with the Cowboys. So does that show you that the Cowboys are that desperate and they need pieces? Because a lot of people are saying that the Cowboys defense is probably what's going to hold them back this year.
So to me, this is what it is. Jerry Jones thinks that he's going to win a Super Bowl this year and only needs is one more guy to give him, a sack a game or give me 10 good plays or whatever it may be. He's not there. It's again, it's spending money on somebody who's he may not finish the season with the Cowboys.
Right.
That would be I would not be remotely excited about that at all if I was a Cowboys fan. I look at it as kind of maybe a waste of money and time.
Yeah. Well, it's only 7.5 million. I mean, and in
Yeah,
NFL
I
terms,
get that.
I
I
say
get that.
only because the cap is 301 million. So,
Right.
but
But they just
that,
spent what?
to me,
How much on Quinn Williams? A big
oh
amount
my
of money.
goodness, yes.
Yeah.
I know you're a huge fan of him.
For 3 sacks and a couple of tackles. You know, he does have flashes of how good he is, but he just never got like a D tackle. He just never seemed to get off blocks very well. He had to go around people than go through them. And I think he's good, and he probably deserves some of the money he's getting, or some of at least almost some of that. But I don't look at him as a difference maker. I really don't.
All right, the 941 Sports Zone. By the way, you mentioned it. The Bucks and Chiefs. Before we go into our next segment, Bucks and Chiefs. Interesting in that John Gruden's going to do the play-by-play.
I know. I think it's going to be great.
Well, it should be interesting because he's more of a color commentator to me. So this should be interesting with him and Rondé chopping it up for the entire game, because I guess Chris Myers is out on assignment, if you will. But is this an olive branch to get Gruden back into the league?
I don't know, but I will say this to you. It won't sound much different than what we're doing right now. I think it'll be a podcast with a football game around it, because
yes,
while Gruden will give you 2nd and 9 from the 35 or whatever it may be, he's probably going to be giving his little quips and anecdotes and whatever it may be. So we'll see how that goes. But I think it'll be a John Gruden, Ronnie Barber podcast. And if it's great, maybe they'll get a show out of it. Who knows? But one thing about it, Gruden's not going to be afraid of the microphone or the camera.
No question about that. 941 Sports Zone, presented by the good folks at Carroll GMC. I just lost my place here. There we go. Sales, selection, experience, what car buying should be. Who can make you drive with a smile? Carroll can, on the beautiful island of Venice. We certainly do appreciate them being our new sponsor for the 941 Sports Zone. And again, Monty and the gang really took care of me when I was down there. I certainly do appreciate it. If you want to buy a car, go see Monty. He'll definitely take it. He'll put you in a car. If that's what you want, you'll be in a car before you leave. I don't think there's any question about that. All right, before we get into college football and all the rankings, I didn't put it on the shot sheet, but obviously the big story, that kind of college and pro football last week, was the controversy with Jayden Daniels and the number 5. And I mean, I know that his mom is his PR / agent, if you will. I might tell mom to find something else to do, because I know Jayden. Listen, we've seen him. Okay, he's a graceful kid, talks very well spoken, and he really tried to diffuse this because when it got out there, people were angry.
Right.
The kid's not giving up the number. The kid that's got it, who's now a sophomore, who was a freshman last year, he's already come out and said, listen, that's what they promised me. Brian Kelly didn't give it to me. Now Lane Kiffin, shocking, by the way, that Lane Kiffin would go against the grain and give the number out. That's about par for the course. Let's shine the light on LSU a little more. But this thing is, it's a PR nightmare for Daniels. A guy who's trying to come off an injury. They made it to the championship game in his rookie year, and last year he only played 7 games. And the Commanders are an aging team. A lot of people think that they're, even in an NFC East, that there's an opportunity that they're not going to be, one of the playoff teams. What would you make of all this stuff that came out?
I'll start with Jayden Daniels. Dumb idea. Don't make it why make an issue out of this? Okay. If it's not, it doesn't come across as Heisman like behavior.
Worthy. Yep.
Okay. So you're saying I want my number and nobody else is ever going to get it again. I don't like that. LSU has a deal with the number 7 they hand out to their better players, 18 to the toughest player. Yeah,
right.
Right. So they got a couple different things that they do already. If instead of coming out with something like that and saying, "Hey, what happened to my number? What's going on?" All they need to do is talk about it for a little while, and they could have figured out a way to do it. Florida, when Steve Spurrier got to Florida in 90 as the head coach, he said, "No more. We're not retiring numbers. We'll have no numbers left." And his number was retired. He gave it to a player that he felt deserved the number 11. They still do it in some ways. So he got rid of it. And then what they did was for the Heisman Trophy winners, they put statues up. Everybody goes to the statues. Does it matter about the number? It doesn't really matter. Now, the flip side of this is LSU's making promises to stuff that they probably shouldn't be doing. Okay. Was that the reason why the kid went to LSU for the number 5? Boy, that means that tells me that he's about that far away from being out the door at any moment. Okay. And he's going to cause trouble. So I don't like either side. Both sides look pretty sloppy in this thing, look pretty sort of, there's a lot of pettiness going on with this. But you know what? This is LSU to a T. This is what they do. And I like LSU. I as far as a team in the SEC that I root for a little bit. I mean, it's not Florida. It is LSU unless they're going to cost us a championship or whatever it may be. But this is a sloppy bit of business right here. Lane Kiffin, I think, is on a 5-year run, looking to get a couple of national championships. He's going to pull an Urban. Okay, he's going to go into town. They're going to say, "Here's what you go get what you need." Boom. The difference is Urban didn't get in the middle of the muck. Urban kept himself pretty damn clean when it came to the muck. He was leading the band, so to speak, but he wasn't in the middle of all that stuff. Kiffin seems to be right in the middle of it. I think Kiffin likes being in that stuff. He likes being in the middle of that.
Oh, this is right up Lane Kiffin alley.
Thrives off of it. He thrives off of it. So again, does that lead to what they're hoping for at LSU and hoping for what Kiffin's hoping for himself, which is national championships, plural? I don't know. This is not the most pretty start to the tenure, especially with 3 weeks to go before the season starts.
Right. And they've got a pretty big game against Clemson.
Absolutely.
To start the year. And I know they're about a touchdown.
Clemson's a little bit of the people are saying, don't look past Clemson. Dabo kind of came around with his no portal stuff and see where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah. They're under the radar this year.
Yeah.
Whereas normally they were up near the top. So speaking of the radar says Ohio State's number 1, Oregon is number 2, followed by Georgia, Notre Dame, and Texas. That's your top 5. 2 SEC, 2 Big Ten, and Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I think it's accurate. You can argue who number 1 versus number 3 or number 2, but I think it's a very accurate scenario. Ohio State, Oregon, loaded with talent, returning quarterbacks, Heisman Trophy finalists.
Yep.
How do you not make them 1 and 2? Whatever, however you want to look at it. It's very hard to argue against that. The interesting part, the party crasher being Notre Dame in this situation is very interesting to me. I get where they have a couple pivotal games that they have to win in order to get to the playoffs. And I think they know it this year, but they're talking about Notre Dame like their talent and everything is equal to anybody else's. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something, but I thought last year they were a very good team. They didn't win the games they had to win to get there. Could you have argued against them, Miami against them? Sure, you could have. I think there's no doubt about that. But I don't know if, as a whole, I think Notre Dame has to be like very clean, undefeated kind of thing.
Yes, with their schedule, John, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. They've got SMU, Miami. Who am I missing? Who do they open with?
Yeah, they've got a tough.
BYU. That's right. BYU
Right.
replaced USC. In my opinion, they have to win all 3 of those games. And
Right.
there's a reason why the over/under in Vegas is 11.5, because
Right.
12-0, they're in the playoff. 11-1 or any less, and you really start. You put their body of work against everybody else's, and they could be left out again.
So Georgia and Texas are below Notre Dame, correct?
No, Georgia's 3, Notre Dame's 4, Texas is 5.
Okay. So if Texas was to play Notre Dame, neutral site, who's favored?
Wow. Well, Texas is only favored by 1.5 at home against Ohio State.
Okay. Well, again, but
so I would. All right. So I'm kind of going. I would say on a neutral site that Notre Dame would be slightly favored.
Okay. And then
only
Georgia,
because of the brand.
And then Georgia, same scenario.
Yeah, Georgia 3 is the one that's curious to me.
Yeah,
I know they've got a lot of talent. I'm not a Gunnar Stockton.
No,
fan.
but I wasn't the other little guy running around there for a number of years that drank himself off campus.
You're selling used cars, the Rams quarterback.
But he won a national championship. So yeah. I look at it and I think sometimes with way Kirby Smart coaches, just like with Alabama with Nick Saban, right? Quarterback is a placeholder. He's a guy don't make mistakes guy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're not looking for anything, fantastic or over the top. They're looking for guys that are going to stay, keep winning. And look at how many quarterbacks, Notre Dame quarterbacks are in the league. I mean, not Notre Dame, Alabama quarterbacks are in the league, and but they're not functioning at a really super high level. Even Jalen Hurts has an argument about him. Right. It's like, oh, is he really that good? Is he a pressure? That kind of thing. So I just think that Georgia has the same thing. They want somebody who's going to be. By the way, it's Stetson Bennett the third.
Yes, thank you.
I can remember. So I don't know, but again, I look at those games and say, like, you can go either way. That Notre Dame could be either favored or not against Georgia and Texas. And I think that I'm not so quite sure that Notre Dame is really separated himself from the pack to be a 12-0 team. I don't know. So you don't want to rank them lower because I think they're going to lose a game and they're going to be out of the playoffs. I just don't know if they're really that good to be undefeated. And that's where they'll have to be in order to stay in the.
Well, they have to win 3 games, whereas everybody else is going to have to win.
Well, they didn't do it last
more than that. Well, no. Well, and again, they paid the price. They lost the head-to-head in Miami, and then in the end, even though Notre Dame was ranked ahead of them all year, Miami ended up deserving it because they went all the way to the championship game and had a chance at the end. So, I would have went Ohio State, Notre Dame, Oregon, Texas, Georgia. Okay. I think a little more of Texas this year for some reason. I like
Texas too. I like Texas too. And I will say, I'll tell you exactly why I like Texas now. Arch. Okay. I think that Arch.
He had a great second half of the year. Yep.
He had an epiphany. He's good. He's going to get to go. If he can play, because listen, he's an athletic Manning, which there's not many of them. He's except Grandpa was very athletic, maybe Dad, but he can move in the pocket. He can do some things. He's got players too. He's got guys around him, both sides of the ball. I look at Texas and say, like, wow, okay, they got to me. If Texas was wearing Georgia's uniforms, they'd beat number 2.
Okay. I think Sark's on the hot seat. I really think Sark's on the hot seat. I think
he definitely is. I
think they have to get to at least the semifinals, if not the finals. And a lot of people in Texas, I got my buddy boots on the ground at Austin. He's basically saying national championship or we're making a change. That's what a lot of people there say.
It also depends on what Elko does down the road in Texas.
Yes.
If he's good again, that's not going to fly in Texas. Austin, they're not going to fly. And and they'll go out there and say, okay, we gave Sarkisian a try. They're going to buy the best coach money can buy, and don't think they wouldn't go after a guy like Cignetti and offer him some crazy money because Cignetti
or Elko,
right? But Cignetti with a cowboy hat on, saying, "Go check my resume out." Now that would be entertainment right there.
Yeah. Speaking of Signetti, Indiana's 6, Miami's 7, Texas A&M's 8, Ole Miss is 9, and Oklahoma's 10. We already talked about this. I don't think I'm sorry. I don't think Ole Miss. I think they're overrated. I know Chambliss is coming back. I know they've got a lot of talent coming back. The running back. I like Oklahoma better. As a matter of fact, I would have Oklahoma either 6 or 7. To be truthfully honest, I know their schedule's tough, but if they get through it, let me tell you something. And Mateer, he should be fully healthy by the time the season starts. I don't think he was ever fully healthy last year.
No, and I look at this and I say both Oklahoma and Ole Miss are going to be the quarterback's going to take them to where they're going to get. It's going to be a quarterback driven. Mateer obviously staying healthy. He showed some brilliance as far as his ability to be an athlete and a quarterback at the same time. And Chambliss, you know what? I'm going to say something about his path to Ole Miss. He played at Ferris State, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
Correct. The Bulldogs.
And he wins a national championship. There's something to winning a championship. It cuts a groove into you. You understand it. Okay. And that's for sure. And when he got his opportunity at Ole Miss, not only did he look the part, from a confidence perspective, but his arm talent is really good. We saw him live when I went to Ole Miss last year for the Florida
the
game.
Grove.
And you watch a ball come out of somebody's hand, and it comes out of his hand with authority. He's got an NFL caliber arm. I was even to the point last year when watching the draft or getting ready for the draft that if he was to have gone back into the draft because they wouldn't let him play at Ole Miss, I would have had no problem if my team would have drafted him as number one, especially with all the picks they had at number one. I think he has a bit of an it factor to him. Now that could change with a bad start to the season in 6 or 7 games or something like that. But both those teams are going to be very much as the quarterback goes, so go they. You could see in 6 or 7 weeks, you could see one of them being 4th, 3rd in the country, and one of them being 18th.
Yeah,
it could be that much of a split.
More SEC in the 11 to 15. LSU is 11. By the way, they play. What's it? The 3rd week or the 4th week in September they play
3rd.
At Ole Miss. Ooh.
3rd. No.
Yeah.
Is it the 3rd? Yeah. It might be early.
Late September. It's late September. Let's put it that way. Okay. Texas Tech is 12. I think that's maybe a little low. Alabama's 13. I think that's a little high. Yeah. BYU 14 and USC is 15. USC is a wild card. A lot of people think they're the 4th best team in the Big Ten. I think they potentially could be 2nd or 3rd best team in the Big Ten.
No, you're right, and I think the real issue is it's going to come down to whether or not we like the coach anymore, because Lincoln Riley has not performed at the level that they expected. You expect a big offense out of the guy, and they're getting not so much. And he's had 1st round draft picks at wide receiver. He's quarterback was there with him for a while. He's got it all. He had it all kind of put on his plate. The problem with USC, which obviously if you were a Pac-10 fan, you had to know this was going to happen. They got to travel pretty far to go to some of these games. And then when they're landing in Chicago to go play Northwestern on a field where the grass is this thick up to here, and it's freezing cold, and you're just got off. You just left downtown LA. It's not for you in some ways. How many times did USC over the years go up to Washington and lose, or Oregon State, or something like that? Right?
Or the game in Notre Dame that was later in the year. Yep.
Yeah, rainy, cold weather didn't suit them very well. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of their travel games are those kind of games, and I wouldn't be surprised that, let's say, if USC gets off to a 3-2 start or whatever that may be, where some of the players are sitting around and there's people whispering in their ears saying, "Coach ain't got it. Where are you going? We got to get out of here." There could be a mass exodus, because Lincoln Riley was supposed to guarantee, we got the guy. He didn't go to the NFL. He stayed in college. He's our guy, and he has desperately underperformed.
Underachieved. Yep, no question about it. Defensively is where they've really struggled, and they got to get better. 16 to 20, Michigan, Washington, Penn State, SMU, and Tennessee. And 21 to 25, Utah, Iowa, Houston, Louisville, and Missouri. Missouri's in the top 25. That
Michigan and Penn State, interesting to me. The
mhm.
stories are very interesting. I'm surprised, very surprised, that both of them are in the top 25 with new coaches. Now, established coaches, I understand that. Okay. But Rich, what it says to me is this. This is not anything about the teams. This is about the conference.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
You're going to tell me that Florida and Auburn have new coaches, right? And both have talent. Florida has a lot of talent on that team.
Yes.
No problem. And both of the coaches that got hired in Golish and in oh geez, I'm forgetting my own coach's name. Anyway, Summerall. Anyway, they're both there, and they've come in as highly regarded guys moving up the ladder of coaching, and they're not in the top 25. And those two are. Well, what does that tell me? It tells me probably that they figure, well, they can beat up on the rest of the Big Ten like everybody else is going to because they're top heavy in talent. It's a three-team league, right? It's Ohio State, Oregon, and Indiana.
Mhm.
Beyond that, I don't think anybody else has a chance to win it.
No, I think USC. Again, I think USC is the wild card
Okay.
here.
But so again, so they got to figure that they're figuring that they're going to win some games, right? They're going to win some games. And who are they going to win them against? Are they going to beat Ohio State? Probably not. They're going to beat Oregon? Probably not. They're going to beat Iowa. They're going to beat Nebraska. They're going to beat, whoever. Northwestern.
Right.
They're going to beat. They're going to beat
Wisconsin.
Those teams.
Yep.
Yeah, they're going to beat those teams. So you say to yourself, okay, that's interesting because you wouldn't suspect that teams with new coaches would be that high up. There's got to be some missteps along the way. And you're telling me that they're going to win 8 games or 9 games. I'm like, okay, I don't know if that's the truth. That's an interesting scenario to me.
All right, a couple of news notes from, again, we record this on Monday. Cam Vaughn, who was a wide receiver transfer from West Virginia, has reportedly been dismissed from the team, Miami. Mario Cristobal on his coach's show basically just wished him good luck, didn't say why he was dismissed. Obviously, some sort of disciplinary issue.
He must have done something really bad to get kicked off that team.
Yeah, that's yeah. South Carolina lost 2 wide receivers to season-ending injuries, both lower body injuries. Jaden Sellers, who is the quarterback's brother, and Jaden Gibson, who was a transfer from Oklahoma, both out for the year. And South Carolina was already a meddling team in the conference. So 2 weapons that Sellers does not have. And an interesting thing that came out also on Monday, apparently there's a new Heisman platform out that's going to allow fans to have a say in the vote. Although the way I read the story, I'm not really sure how much of a say, but at least they're going to have some say. I don't know. Yeah, I can see by the look on if you're watching the podcast. Yeah,
so stupid. That's so dope. I mean, what do they think they're going to do? Not vote for their favorite guy? I mean, it's just. I mean, that's not. No, dumb.
All right, there's your college football update. The Rays. Wow, they're on some sort of roller coaster. They went 9-0 on a trip out west. Come home and they can't beat the Orioles at home.
They can't beat the Orioles all year.
They've struggled against the Orioles big time. They have one more game on Monday night as we record this, but they've lost the first 3 games. An interesting decision. I was watching the game on Sunday because it was on Peacock and there really wasn't much else on at the time, and it's on nice and early. 5th inning, it's 1-0 Rays. They have a call overturned. It looked like an inning-ending double play, line drive double play. The Oriole player was clearly safe. So there's 2 outs in the 5th. Pete Alonso is on deck. And Kevin Cash comes and gets Freddie Peralta after 4 2/3. And at the time, I was texting my best friend. I said, I hate this move. It's not I didn't like this move. Wasn't second guessing. I was first guessing. I hated that move. They bring in Clevenger. He gives up a hit to the lefty to tie the game. Now, because of the new rules, he's got to face Pete Alonso, who's hitting about 900 against lefties. Sure enough,
Right.
he doubles in 2 runs, and the game gets completely out of hand. And I said something at the time, I guess because I was angry because I was watching it as a fan. But I really believe this after going back to the 2020 series, John, when he pulls Blake Snell in the 6th inning, he's
Yeah.
spinning a 2-hitter. Kevin Cash is a great regular season manager, but moments like that concern me in the playoffs, especially. To ask your bullpen to get 13 outs day after day after day, you're going to kill the bullpen. And Freddie Peralta was not happy at all, boy. He was not. He just sat in the dugout and looked straight out, glaring. This is only his 3rd start with the Rays. Is Kevin Cash the reason the Rays may not win a World Series or even win an American League pennant?
No.
Okay.
Talk
me off the ledge, please.
It's the philosophy, Rich.
Mm-hmm.
It's the philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great lieutenant to everybody else's being captains, majors, generals, whatever how you want to put it. He's a great lieutenant. He goes out there and does exactly what he's told to do. He doesn't waver off the plan. He doesn't waver off certain situations. If he makes a bad decision and they call him up from the front to the front office, he'll say, page 6 of the handbook says, in that situation, that's it there, and having Peralta on the mound, we needed to go that route. I'm sure it's the biggest, explanation you can imagine. So what they're going to say is, well, okay, that's the way it works around here then, I guess, because he's not going to go down and say, I had a hunch. It ain't happening.
Right.
He doesn't get hunches. He gets edicts. He gets go to page 6. He gets all those different things. So when those things happen, I don't look at it as it's Kevin Cash making a decision. It's the organization who dictates the decisions that are made. And if he was to lose, because then to not do it, I think that would be his ass at that point.
Interesting. All right.
Because when Joe Madden got a personality and became the star of the show, what happened to him? Bye-bye.
Right. Yeah.
Go to Chicago.
Yeah, but this is a new ownership group, so I'm hoping maybe, and there's some new pieces in the front office too. Maybe they need to. I don't know. I'm very.
I still think no one thinking about how the Rays have influenced so many other teams in the league, even teams like the Red Sox and the Dodgers with a bunch of money, right? Their philosophy has really permeated the all of baseball. I think these guys bought the team and said, what are we going to do? Oh, here's the book. Read it. And they said, okay. And they said, and don't let Kevin Cash get out of control. You know what I'm saying? I think there's something to that. So I don't look at it as a managerial issue. I too often see it as an institutional issue, if you want to call it.
Organizational issue. Yep.
Yeah.
They're still 5.5 up on the Yankees, who struggled in Toronto. They did get the final game of that series in extra innings on Sunday. Still 6 up in the loss column. I still think they're comfortably ahead. But they've got a stretch here. The final game with the Orioles. Then Toronto comes to town. Toronto's been hot since the All-Star break.
Yeah.
So that's it's going to be a tough 3-game series. Then they go to Baltimore and to Toronto. So this is a little bit of a 2-week stretch where if the Yankees can start playing a little better, they might be able to close the gap. Some of the guys start coming back in early September. Bellinger and Stanton in particular. Judge comes back later in the month. I declared it over last week. I still think it's over, meaning the division race. But, the Rays need to slam the door.
Yeah.
Slam the door.
I don't know if the same thing is happening up your way at Boston, but I heard a couple of little blurbs from New York radio. I was listening to some stuff, and they're convinced that they're going to catch the Rays. The Yankees are going to catch the Rays. Because they're the Yankees. Right. How can this is great? It's a nice story. But look, they're only so many games ahead. Well, we talked about a magic number, right? Last week. There is a magic number. And so the Rays are just got to keep doing what they're doing. They're not too high, they're not too low, and some nice streaks. Look, the 4 losses are in a row that they've got just now after going 9-0 on the road trip out west. If you were, you're 9-4 and you had a road trip and you come back, you don't want to lose those games at home. I grant you that. But if you would have said got through that, you would have been in those sorts of games, you would have taken it in a heartbeat. So
Yeah.
I don't worry too much about it at this point. I still think that they're on a good pace. Just gotta, keep up doing what they're doing. I think the players have been performing at a very high level, and if they continue to do that all year, they're gonna be they're around at the end. There's no doubt about it.
All right, some sad news. Speaking of the Yankees, Tommy John, who of course, Tommy John surgery. You could see this coming. He had a video message during the Yankees old timers game about a week ago, maybe a little more, where he basically said goodbye to the fans and thanked everybody. He passed away Saturday night at the age of 83. He was in hospice for a while. Obviously, the surgery named after him that Dr. Frank Jobe perfected is going to live on forever. Class guy in a class organization. Didn't break a pane of glass with his fastball, but you know what? He got outs and he got 200 and some wins.
He was. So. That's when guys were pitchers. They went 8, they went 9 innings, and they kept everybody off balance. Mm-hmm. Breaking ball in, fastball out, something low. They pitched. They didn't throw. Right. They pitched, and he was a constant. And he played for the 2, the biggest organizations in baseball with the Dodgers and the Yankees. Right. And he was successful. And he was, listen, in both cases with superstar guys around him, he was the steady guy. He was the ace in some cases. Yep. And just again, watching him play, I can, in my mind's eye, and so you think a lot of it, I can picture his motion, him throwing the ball to home. You can see it. Him and back in the day, a guy like Tom Seaver who had just ridiculous form. It was just unbelievable how he threw with his legs, like Nolan Ryan did. Now it's not necessarily the same in some cases. But those guys they were pitchers. They knew how to pitch. And nowadays, now it's like I said, it's throwing and hitting home runs right now.
Throwers. Yeah. Yep. All right. PGA Tour, Scotty Scheffler apparently wants to win the FedEx Cup. And that means everybody else is in trouble. He fired a 61 on Friday and then basically lapped the field in Memphis. We weren't talking much about this, but we did say if Scotty woke up, look out. And sure enough, he woke up. He won by 8 and could have won by more. So he wants that $20 million prize at the end. I believe is that the top prize? I believe.
Well, yeah, and don't forget every time he wins, he won this week. He won a couple million this week. So if he keeps winning like Pac-Man and keeps eating all these things up, forget it, right? Yep. He'll be going good. I thought it was interesting too. One of the comments early in the round, kind of watching that 1:30 start on Golf Channel, they were like, "I wonder how this pairing will be for Scotty with Sam Burns because they're good friends. They actually stay together in certain places, right? Well, if that's what it means to play with Sam Burns, you better hire Sam Burns to be his caddy because he had no problem with anything. And it's funny because there was one hole, it was a weird par 3 and it had like a wall in front of it. And Scotty had messed up the day before and kind of put it along the wall or whatever it was. And, Scotty, they play enough together that Scotty got the number. He knew the number on the play. Like he saw Burns hit it. He's like, okay, I know that's an 8 for me or a 7 for me or whatever it may be. So he knows it because he knows Burns' game. So when you play with somebody that you play practice rounds with, you know how far he hits it, and you're like, oh, if he hit it that far, then it's an easier club selection. I don't have to spend 25 minutes figuring which way the wind is coming. So that's something that happens. I have friends that I play with. I got my buddy Dave that I played with for years, and we play together. It's like we're mind readers. He's like, "You hit a 7 there. I hit a 9." He just because you play off the other guy because you know. So if Scotty's in a comfortable pairing, that is bad news for everybody else. Really bad news.
Rory did play, kind of. Ends up 66th. 66th. There was only 70 in the tournament. So he's done. He seemed disinterested anyway. A little bit of a mental break for him, I think, at this point.
Rory had a really tough couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Taking the mantle of the PGA, number one, but then going out in the midst of all that and winning the one
Masters
he needed,
twice.
The Masters. Yeah. He gets the green jacket. And I told you, I've already said this. I thought he had a nervous breakdown after he won, because he wasn't like, he was heaving. It was like everything came out of him. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he performed admirably for the rest of the year, but I think it was tough. He didn't finish with a big push last year either. This year he comes in, and because he's playing free, and we should have 3 Masters by now. He goes out there and just has fun and wins, and puts a jacket on again for himself. And at that point, Liv is dying. Everything's sort of happening around him. And I think getting the early win, winning early, I should say. I think that relaxed him enormously. So much so that I think he lost time,
focus.
Focus on stuff. And that's where he's at. Now, can he turn it on? Sure. But I will tell you, I don't think he's going to be a factor in this the FedEx series. It's not going to be a cut. It's going to just be.
Well, he's out. He's done. It was only top 50 had to be. So.
No, I think it's not where you finished. It's where. So if you look at.
So in the standing, so he's still
in it.
Really? That's interesting.
He actually didn't even have to play
in order to stay in the top 50.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I said, like Spieth was 52, but he wasn't 52 in the tournament. He was 50. He was like 20th, but he needed to be better than that to stay in. So
yeah.
So
and
go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
Rory's like I said, I don't know how much interest he has right now. And if he wants to take a break, by all means, I give him a break. Come back and when TFL is ready to go, watch some indoor golf.
Yeah, January. Oh boy. All right. Speaking of Jordan Spieth, he had a shot to make it to the second tournament.
Yep.
Got off to a tremendous start, but Saturday and Sunday he faltered. Put one in the water on Sunday that basically sealed his fate. Like you said, he ended up finishing 52nd overall, which means no more playoffs for Spieth. He's another guy that's coming back. He had some issues, so health issues. I think he'll be okay. I think this is a stepping stone for him.
I hope that Jordan Spieth can get back to where he was 6-7 years ago. It is getting to be that far now, and how far it's been there, or maybe longer, maybe 10 years ago, because he was very entertaining. Even when you watch him in a tournament where he's not playing very well, he's very good around the greens. He's imaginative. He does certain things. But I'll tell you what, I think overall, if somebody tomorrow said, I can change your swing and you'll potentially get 2 strokes better, I tell him to go pack his suitcase and go home somewhere else. I don't want it. Yeah. But Spieth wasn't quite where he needed to be. He had some injuries, and I think you start tweaking with your swing and your whatever it may be, and next thing you know, you're not finishing in the top anything anymore. He's a mediocre guy. And so you say to yourself, how does a guy go from that to that? I'll reference it probably 30 more times if we do this podcast for the next 25 years together. But Jack Nicklaus had said it, that it's very hard to keep winning when you get a family and everything else. These guys were super young, 19, 20 years old, coming out, hitting the ball a mile, nothing to worry, carefree. Don't have to worry about a thing. Making crazy shots. No, money's just going to a bank account somewhere. And now they all of a sudden become serious, and it's about being home and changing diapers and and the hot water heater went out and you're trying to play around the golf at a championship level. I think it's very hard to do. If Spieth can get that carefree, watch me do something crazy kind of deal back, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see him go back to looking at the hole instead of looking at the ball like he did when he putted for all those years. Some of that quirkiness lent itself to his success.
All right, they're in St. Louis for the BMW Championship this week, another $20 million purse. And then, of course, in 2 weeks, they'll be in Atlanta for the championship. And then we have President's Cup. And then, like you said, we have TFL after that.
Well, you have the new silly season where you have early fall and winter tournaments that actually count for the 2027
season. Yeah.
So, and a lot of guys that are new to the tour, they kind of break themselves in a little bit and whatnot, but it's hard. I think they do take time off around the holidays. They're not pumping out a tournament every week, but still it's an opportunity to kind of get a little money under your belt before the big guys wake up and start coming to play in January and February.
All right. Locks of the week. You and I broke the cardinal rule. Betting preseason football. Are you kidding me? Game went over. Not by much, actually. I think the over-under was 36.5 and ended up 40. But
right.
Nonetheless, and then, of course, the Jets were – did you know by kickoff that spread was 5.5? I mean, crazy, the money came flowing in on the Jets. So a lot of people that bet preseason football are currently in the poorhouse. So you still have the 2-game lead. Like I said, we kind of talked about this a little bit. Do we just continue to go, or do we start?
So I'll throw it at you. We have baseball that you can legitimately talk about as far as whatever, and that's about it.
Yeah.
As far as what to call it on. So for me, I say we take another break.
Okay. Let's and then next week there'll be some of the college games, and we might be able to, because it will be within 5 days of.
If I was going to pick something, Rich, that we won't call it an unofficial lock, I'm going to tell you that Toronto's coming into town after Baltimore.
Yes,
I say the Rays win that series. That's what I would say, but I'm not. Right. But that would be the one I would have went with.
Okay.
Only because I just feel I'll have a lot of faith in that they're just, again, this is going to sound like it sounds funny, but they're just too talented right now to not do well.
Right.
And there's nothing flashy about them. Their pitching is going to be solid. They get hit around here and there, but they just got to get that. They got to get in lockstep with each other, and I think they'll be better. So if that was, but since I think a pass is
one more week. I agree. Yeah, one more week. All right. So it's finally time for what's bugging me. I kind of aired it a little bit. I got to get better at that. I got to get. You know what? I'm going to talk about this, but I'll talk about it later. But it's just that I'm nervous that the ceiling for the Rays is maybe win a playoff series, maybe get to the ALCS. And you talk about that book. I'd like to take that book and put a match to it. I really would. Yeah. Because at some point, this game is played by humans, not computers.
Right.
And at some point, the human element's got to come into it.
Yeah.
And that bothers me that and there is some truth to what you say. I think you're a little over the edge a little bit, but on the other hand, I mean, again, we go back to the 2020 World Series where Blake Snell is just the Dodgers have no clue on him, but because it's third time through the lineup, we're going to go ahead and make a change. I hate that.
Right.
Sometimes you got to, and listen, when you get to the playoffs, you need your horses to be horses. You don't need your horses to pitch 5 innings. So I think in September, and I think September will tell a lot. If the Rays start letting their starters go a little further, that'll give me some positive vibes, if you will, for the playoff season.
Yeah. So. And listen, Rich, I'll tell you the truth too. So just kind of real quick, the Dodgers have Dave Roberts as a coach, right?
Yes.
He's the manager.
He's the manager. Yep.
Dave Roberts could walk out in the 4th inning, the 6th inning, the 9th inning, and pull anybody wants to pull off the mound and put somebody in the mound that's going to be successful. He really can't make a mistake per se. He's got everything covered. He's got great everyday players. They got great pitchers, got great relief. So he can make those choices, and it won't have any effect. When Kevin Cash does it, it's glaring.
Yeah.
It becomes a very glaring, and rightfully so. When you said you shouldn't have done that, a guy in LA could be watching the Dodgers and say, "Why did Dave Roberts do that?" And they said, "Don't worry about it. We won by 6 runs anyway.
Right.
We're going to get to the World Series because it doesn't matter what Dave Roberts does. It does matter what
Sport.
Kevin Cash does.
Yes.
Right? It does matter what Kevin Cash does. So having that feeling of the like, when's it going to go wrong again, is understandable. It's 100% understandable. You almost have to be like in La La Land, like, don't worry, it's going to happen. Just like the guy who says the Bucks are going to go 17-0, and then it happens. That's how it feels like with the Rays. Like, yeah, they're good. Yeah, they do a lot of good things, and they got a great team to watch, and it's entertaining, whatever. And the manager's good, but you just wait. Those mistakes that happen, they're just more glaring because you're just waiting for the shoe to drop on everything else. So I understand that.
All right. Well, I'm done. It's up to you.
Okay. All right. So I got a little something I got to get off my chest again. I don't know what is it with sometimes with me with I'm in a lot of places where people are just going to bump into each other. If you went to a baseball game every day, or you went to a football game twice a week, or whatever else it was, you're probably going to bump into somebody, and there could be a problem, a confrontation, whatever you want to call it. But the last couple of weeks, I've had a couple of confrontations, and then again on this Friday, I had one as well, where I wasn't personally involved in the conversation or the confrontation, I should say. But however, it's happened to me on multiple occasions, and it's happened to me with the same type of people. Okay. So in days gone by, we had press boxes. Okay. There was press boxes where you came up there, and it was the PA announcer, and it's the referees, and it's the coaches, and it's all different people up there, and the press is up there as well. And rightfully so. That's where they need to be. They can write their stories and do whatever. But in a lot of cases, these guys in the press, because it's high school or whatever it may be, they come and act like they're the celebrity, like they're the show. They're going to come in there. They're going to say, "Oh, by the way, did I tell you the story about what happened to me in 1962 when I was covering blah, 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 blah." Whatever. Okay. Do I care? No. But you put up with it, and you're just going to go along with it, and whatever. And there's sometimes they walk in there and they think that they own the place. I mean, literally, they come in there and act like they own the place. First of all, it's owned by the school. Second of all, you don't have to be there. They can tell you that you don't have to be there. If you don't like the conditions that you have, then go someplace else. Okay. I had a battle with somebody at a playoff game who wanted to have the middle seat. And when I say this, Rich, I'm an exaggerator because I like to exaggerate a little bit. And when I tell you this press box was 10 feet long, I am not exaggerating. We had live streaming, coaches, their PA announcer, who was about 6'9", 300 pounds, okay, and 2 little girls that were helping him out, and there was no room. And a reporter came in there and started moving all of our coaches' equipment away so he could plop his ass down in the middle of this to have the best spot. I'm like, what are you doing? So it turned into a whole turmoil, and he wanted to argue with me about it. I'm the press. I don't care. You're fifth on the totem pole. As far as that's concerned, you can sit outside and watch and do the game. You don't have to have a seat and a sandwich and everything else you want to have because you're going to write your story. By the way, you're not going to write the story until you leave the press box because you're going to do that or whatever it may be. Or after the game's over, you can sit in the press box. You just want the comfortable seat, and you're going to act that way. Well, once again, it happened on Friday. Now, in this case, I can't do anything about it. I'm on a live broadcast on YouTube, right? And a kerfuffle, if we want to call it, starts. Before anything happened, and I've been anointed the Venice High School. I'm in charge of the press box. But the guys up there with me are adults, and they know how to handle situations. And so are the young kids as well. They're all sharp up there. They're veterans. And one of the reporters, Doug Fernandez, comes in, and he plops his ass right in the middle of where he wants to sit. There's a microphone right there. He sees the microphone right there, and he sits his ass down because he had the same problem last year. He didn't have a place to sit, so now he's going to make the point. He's back again this year. He's going to make a point, okay? Now, the reason I'm calling out Doug in this case and telling his name is because of this. All this dust up that happened would have stayed in that 10 and that new press box. Never went anywhere. But what do you know? The next day, after all said and done, and his behavior, which I'll kind of go through in a little bit, was out there. He's on Facebook calling out Venice High School, calling out that they're, as he put it, BS, but he used the words, is like so another school up the block or something along those lines. So you're putting it out there. Why? To get out in front of what you did? Okay, because again, you were given the after what you did. Now I'll get into the details. So he was asked to move because knowing that that there was no room in this press box. It's a brand new press box, Rich. It's gorgeous, right? But it's small. It fit in the same space there was before. What if anybody should be mad at anybody? If you're a press guy, whatever, be mad at the school board. They refused to let Venice boosters or whoever make it bigger. And it would have been plenty of room for everybody. The plan was this, and they said, no, you're not getting it. Well, guess what? We have 2 people doing live stream, a director, a Jumbotron operator, a PA announcer, a spotter, a lights guy. That's a lot of people in a small space, and we can't put somebody else in there. But they put up top was a little ladder to go up, and it's a whole roof up there with a cover. So you're not getting, you're fine. It's where it's at. They got chairs up there. There's coaches up there from the other team. There's everybody's up there. They're not putting you out in Siberia in the middle of nowhere. You've got a place to go. Okay. So what does he do? Throws a fit, like a 4-year-old fit, and starts using language like with and around and about young women and women in general, using the worst word you can call a woman in the press box. Okay. Assistant principal has to show up. Dean of students has to show up. It's a whole to do. And then after it's either or, go upstairs or whatever. He continues to rant and rave about it up to the point where our camera guy was like, I got to get out of here because I can't be around this guy anymore. Okay. Now I bring this up because, guys, listen, it's hard enough to put together something with volunteers. Okay. Volunteers. Nobody's getting paid. Okay. The coaches get a stipend and whatever. Nobody's getting paid for this. We don't need people that are coming in there on you don't have, an inalienable right to be wherever you want to be, and go up there and behave in a manner, not just in a way, but towards women, young women, and using these words that were just absolutely unbelievable. I figured grown men had taken care of it. He went upstairs, but I let it alone. But then it became my problem when it's on social media. So, Doug, tell the story of the truth. Don't put your damn bullshit, your word out there, okay? And expect for somebody from Venice not to stick up for the situation, okay? I promise you this, that this conversation with the AD and the assistant principal and myself is probably going to get you banned from the press box. You want to cover the game? Stand on the sidelines. Dennis Mafasoli did over the years. Okay. There was no problem with this. Okay. So if this was a first time situation or a bad day, I wouldn't be saying it. It's the second time for this person. And you doubled down, tripled down, and put Venice on blast on Facebook, saying that somehow it was Venice's fault, that the press box that they were given isn't big enough to house your middle seat to watch the game. So just understand. So I hope you're hearing this, Doug. You're not invited. If I'm there, you're not. You can go onto the field, and I will make sure that the people say it. Now, the administration tells me no, then I'll leave. So that's what it's coming down to. It'll be either or. If you're there, I'm not, and they can find somebody else to do the live stream. I'm sure it'll be somebody do a great job, and I'll stand on the sidelines and enjoy the game. But that's just want to make sure of this. It's happened before. It's not a one-off thing, and it's not a one-off thing just with him. It's a one-off thing with certain people who feel like they're entitled, and I don't know why. It's a damn high school football game. It's not that you need the seat for the Buccaneers at the Super Bowl. It's a high school football game. If you don't like it, don't do it. And I'm done.
All right. There you go. And that'll conclude the 52nd edition, the 1-year anniversary edition of the 941 Sports Zone. We'll be back next week. Again, There's 2 podcasts now that'll be recorded on Mondays.
Yes.
We will have the high school podcast, which we did earlier today. And again, Emma Moon was the guest, and it's great information. If you're a fan of high school football in our area, tons of good intel.
So Rich, I watch our podcasts, or I'll listen, depending on what it is, because looking at yourself is kind of like,
Yes.
it's like,
Yeah.
what do I look like that for? How come that pillow looks like me? Whatever it may be, right? All those different things. But I'm really want to see it because I really believe that if you're a high school football fan, there's a dig on this. You're going to get something out of it. And listen, it. When you're from this area and you're doing a game, you're getting text messages from everybody. What's going on with the referees? What's this? What's that? Right? So people are into this, and it's big time. The live stream for Venice, all I know is what they get. They're 5, 10, 15,000 views for this stuff. They're all into this. So if you want to know, a little insight into Sarasota, you get a little insight into whatever. I can't give you any insight into Nakusi, Haven Gap High School, or wherever we're going for Venice, but you sure can learn a lot about the teams. I thought it was great, the insight into with Emma going to the Sarasota game, talking to Coach Campbell, talking about what he'd hoped to see from his team. Her commenting on how they got weapons that they didn't have last year. So things that really kind of really dig into that kind of stuff. It's fun. It's not just a score. It's a little bit of a backstory on what the score, where the score came from.
Yep. Fantastic. So again, look for that. That's under the 941 Sports Zone. It's High School Podcast 1. And then, of course, our podcast as well. Consume it wherever you can: YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. And again, we'd like some feedback. We definitely would like some feedback. So please, we're big boys. We can handle it.
And I said, exactly. No problem. One thing for you, Rich. Happy 1 year, man. This has been fun.
It really has.
I'd like to say this is our first time being together in a program, but we've done this before in different places and on radio and whatnot, with coaches shows and just in radio shows in particular. I've been a guest on Spits on Sports a bunch of times. I thought it was funny the one time when you were down for the Super Bowl and we were at a local watering hole to do that, and you invited me to play part of the show. And Carrie, who's your producer was there, and you said, "Oh, what's this guy gonna do? Oh, don't worry, we'll talk." And 20 minutes went by, and she was like, "What was that?"
Yep.
Did you guys practice? No, we don't have to practice. We don't. We kind of know each other's, where we go and we do certain things. So it's been very enjoyable. We're getting better at the techie kind of things. Although I couldn't, tell everybody, I couldn't figure out how to get the volume on earlier today. It took me 10 minutes. Well, Emma and Rich laughed at me trying to figure that out. But nonetheless, it's been a cool experience.
Really
media days have been really good. Getting to know some of the media, you know what I'm saying? Like, we just talked about different people who've been on. And now, of course, as we get better and better at it, expanding that guest list as well. So we'll be more guests, more folks, especially on the high school side of things, where coaches will be invited at certain times. We want to get the season off the ground a little bit. So there'll be some more media people on that side of it. But nonetheless, it's a lot of fun. And I wouldn't want to, I really enjoy our partnership in this. This is a lot of fun.
It really is. And again, big thanks to Carroll GMC for allowing us to do this. They're doing a great job, and we look forward to them and the continuing relationship with them.
Yes.
All right. So till next Monday, when we do 2 more of these things, I am Spitz. He is John. Let the games begin with Sony. I'm with him. Let's get the games going.
Week 1, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Round the corner. Here we go. Goodbye.